Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View commentary for the 9th of June. First of all, to let you know, the myhurleyinvestment.com website was hacked for the third time in the last 5 years. The good news is it came from Asia. First time we thought it was from China. Second time we thought it's from Malaysia. This time all we have is Asia right now. We're still working on it. So short answer, we're hacked. We are hacked and we are working on getting it back up. It will probably not be back up until the end of Wednesday. So we're looking at the 11th. Apparently, I am more important than you think. And it's funny. Someone just said, time to get good IT people who can block these people. The funny thing is, I work with the SEC. I've got trackers on it. It's the short answer is yes. Agreed. The long answer is it's going to be harder than you think. So here we go again. Hacked. I thought I was talking to Chinese. Why is this keep coming up? I keep getting these pop-ups. I don't know where those come from. Okay, short answer is though, Wednesday evening, can't type, everything should be back to normal. Maybe I'm scaring Soros, Tyre Ackman. I agree. That's got to be it. But dang it, it's expensive. I mean, when your website gets hacked, to have everything put back up, it's like a $5,000 to $10,000 payment every single time. It is ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to talk about the learning lesson, but a couple people asked some questions about what we talked about. I think that was on May 12th or May 9th. We talked about algorithm trading one more time with meta trading this time, or auto algorithm trading in general. We talked about how they really don't work. And someone came and said, well, Kevin, there are geniuses out there that program certain stuff into the algorithm. They've got some deviations, they got some risk, but as you go through, you find out, at least the meta trading platform recently, none of it worked. None of it worked in the drawdown. When it's supposed to cap them at an 8% drawdown, you've got people that lost 50, 60, 70, 80% of their portfolios, and then they quit. They're done, they're out. And of course, some things have bounced back, but when you're told that it will stay within a range and it doesn't, people quit. Now, the range that these algorithms are trying to be on comes down to, boy, I thought I just had it up. Here it is. The range that it comes down to is called the efficient frontier model. Every single 401k plan, every single fund, every single portfolio construction is based on this singular model. And the model, in plain English, looks like that. Somewhere along the line, you are going to put 90-day T-bills in, long-term T-bills, intermediate bonds, high yield bonds, long-term bonds, S&P 500, mid cap, small caps, emerging markets, global equities. This is what every single fund is attempting to do. And if you go to the handouts, I have attached this handout so that you guys are able to see what this handout or what the efficient frontier model involves. The funny thing is they're trying to keep all of these individual investments, which usually is somewhere between 13 to 31, perfectly aligned on this efficient frontier model. And that's going to give you the growth with the standard 1 beta that will give you a 7.75 average rate of return. And it really doesn't work. It never has worked. Their rebalancing act is impossible. People come to me and say all the time, well, Kevin, why aren't you invested in the S&P 500? And you can't beat the S&P 500 if you are the S&P 500. So why don't you invest in a fund? Well, if you're in a fund where 94% of them already don't beat the S&P 500, and again, you're in a 60-40, so 40% came nowhere close to beating the S&P 500 right here. This is why I'm choosing a Warren Buffett style of, let's get into the undervalued stocks. Sometimes they run really fast, sometimes they don't, but I would much rather follow Warren Buffett than I would following the S&P 500. I would much rather own some undervalued stocks that give me the opportunity to really crush the market in a good year than just kind of lagging along and not having the opportunity basically to ever beat the S&P 500. Yes, my goal is to beat the S&P 500 on a consistent basis, but I would rather, I'm looking to beat the S&P 500 on big years that make up for all the not so big years. I'm also looking to do the best I can to have the S&P 500 not have, honestly, 2 back-to-back up years, because then I've got to have 2 stocks that truly do knock it out of the park. So I've given up. I'm not into trying to meet the efficient frontier model. This sheet on the efficient frontier model, what it is, how it works, how the rebalancing works, is all in your handout. So you can grab this from the handout. The handout should have this PDF for you guys to read and understand how it works and, in theory, why it's supposed to work. Which brings me back up to the learning lesson. Your risk tolerance comes down to how long can you wait until stocks move. The good news is we make up some of the downward movement and convert those gains into more shares or an explosive upward movement. And as some of you, if you've looked at your portfolio in the last, we'll say 6 to 8 weeks, you should have seen just that happening to your portfolio. That is the reason why we do what we do. Can you have 68, 78, 88% return up years? Of course you can. We're giving portfolios that opportunity to have exactly that happen to it and have the ability to have those type of up years. Now, are there risks? Yes, because sometimes the market doesn't recognize a cheap stock. And that happens all the time. That happens where stuff that should be moving and moving significantly just doesn't move. And the good news is, though, there's been a lot of opportunities to review where we're at, the positions that we're at. If we did it wrong, there's the hardest part. Hey, when will you admit what you thought should have taken off didn't? And yes, I mean, we run into that. We run into, I think it was SanDisk back at the time. SanDisk should have taken off and it just didn't. And it had poor management. And for lack of a better term, it was awful. It was a miss. It was something that should not and was not, it was not rewarded by the market no matter what it did. We see that sometimes with Apple, a perfect stock where there's stock risk on a stock that's, for lack of a better term, probably the best value stock that's available. And the market misses it. The market makes some really dumb choices all the time. That's just what happens. And the funny side is, we as people, we make some really dumb choices all the time. And that is truly just the way it is. There's no better way to say it. The problem is we don't recognize it or we don't see it until after we put ourselves in that position. Kevin, why would you do that versus artificial intelligence, right? And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use Apple. Artificial intelligence right now, AI, is quick data gathering. Now, yes, ChatGPT is really cool. I really like it. But it's just gathering the information. I'm going to be the first one to say, as of right now, there is no intelligence in AI. AI does not think for itself. It's programmed as certain areas or certain, how would you say it? Certain parameters are met, then it's an if-then equation. It reminds me a lot about calculus, right? It's an if-then equation. If it hits this, then this must be true, which in real life, that doesn't happen. Elon Musk, extremely worried about artificial intelligence. I get it. There will come a time when artificial intelligence could be an issue, but as of right now, artificial intelligence is not able to think for itself. And if you listen today to Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, wow, they are so far behind the 8 ball. It's a little scary. It's a little scary that the company that had the most amount of money for maybe the longest period of time has been unable to capitalize using that money to, I don't know, to create something more than they have. That's probably the best way to put it. They have not used their money to capitalize on something that has a huge ability to be all that in a bag of chips. In fact, to be honest with you, ChatGPT compared to Siri, there's no difference. Apple is way behind. A couple of you asked, why do we move to Google? Google with their data centers, NVIDIA with their data centers, Micron with the chips to make the NVIDIA data centers work. We've moved away from Apple. We're out of Baidu. Out of Baidu because we're trying to learn from our past experiences. But there is one thing that I wanted to mention in our learning lesson. Does past performance guarantee future results? And we also know the answer there is no. It doesn't. So we've had some good gains. We've had some ridiculously good gains. In fact, we've looked fabulous. With that said, taking a quick look at our markets, we're still bullish on the Dow, but take a look at the S&P 500. This is not correct. For crying out loud. Insert pictures, this device. Catch up, my screenshots. That was a little scary. Oh no, we've gone radically bearish super quick. There we go. We are still bullish here, but take a look and notice. Sorry. Take a look and notice how we're rounding off right now. We're short a catalyst. We're short a catalyst. For 2 months, we've been splurging. The S&P really doesn't stay overbought for long. I mean, we had a big drop there. So here we are trying to guess what's going to happen on our past performance. Take a look at the NASDAQ. Verbatim, looks almost exactly like the S&P. Doesn't stay overbought for long. Big money's been putting money in like there's no tomorrow. Couple weeks, we've got the MACD on top of itself. No catalysts. No catalysts, which means how are we looking to trade, right? Last week I said where our markets go, I said lower. They actually finished higher. I'm still going with, I'm expecting a lower S&P 500 market. I didn't put the briefing in. It's somewhat interesting because the briefing, I should just grab it all. Let me just grab it. The briefing isn't sure what's going to happen either. I do like these guys because if they don't know, they're not making something up. These guys have decided, hey, we either know or we don't. We're not going to make things up, but or 14. The May jobs report did ease some economic fears. Not only that, but the non-farm payroll growth wasn't anywhere close to what the ADP numbers came out to be. What we have is an opportunity for the Fed to use employment, and if they are following the data, there's no reason why we couldn't have a rate cut next week on Wednesday, on the 18th. Someone asked me, could we do a rate cut of 50 basis points? And I love the numbers because right now, if they're worried about jobs, they should and could do that. But will they? Probably not. We're probably not going to get a rate cut at all in June. I'm trying to find it. According to the CME Fed Watch tool, the probability of a 25 basis point rate cut in the July FOMC meeting has been reduced to 16.5 from 31.5. While the probability of 25 basis point cut to 4 to 4.25% at the September meeting has been trimmed to 62.4% from 73. And this is in the future, and the expectation is next to nothing for June. So if someone was to ask me, how am I looking to trade? I've mostly been letting things run. I'm going to change that to, I need to be prepared for the summer doldrums. Short calls, long puts, leap, long calls to take advantage of Boy, I just don't spell, do I? Advantage of a couple of months of sideways movement. So waiting for Meta to break 700 and stay above it. We'll do another round of bull calls on Meta. Waiting for Disney to break 120. Waiting for Nvidia to break and stay above 144 to 145. Looking for Micron earnings to move them back to 150. Waiting for Boeing to reach 250 with FAA news. Waiting for Google to move to 200 based on the last two earnings calls. To be 100% honest with you, waiting for Bank of America to run to 55 and waiting for JP Morgan to move back to 255. All right. We are out of Baidu, so yes. Out of Baidu completely. We may add a couple of leap long calls, but we're not planning on it. We just don't see China moving. Yes, Abraham, we just don't see China moving anytime quickly, even with some kind of meeting where things are better. I mean, the short answer is this. Possible catalysts. Rate cut, not really coming. Big country trade deals. China trade deal. We have great earnings right now. I mean, you can't do better on the earnings, but boy, I mean, to be honest with you, and I guess the best way to say it, we need to do better for those that live here. I'm going to say legally, but I'm going to say as for Americans, right? I'm shocked at what's happening out in California. Growing up in California, I truly thought my state was the best state out of all of them. And I can't believe the riots by so few out there in LA that are causing so many problems. One of you asked, that's unheard of. It's not unheard of. I will find the article, but I haven't found it yet. LA and California have called up the National Guard like this is the fourth time since 1984. So there have been numerous opportunities where the National Guard has been called up in California. I almost want to tell you it's more than any other state, but part of that is because of how poorly they seem to be run. If you have a pension related to whether it's CalPERS for the teachers or the LA pension for their law enforcement and their fire departments, you should be extremely worried about those being around for you. Okay, it's a rather quiet week. We don't have too much going on this week. Earnings, we have Chewy and Oracle, Adobe on Thursday, economic reports, CPIs and PPIs Wednesday and Thursday. It's really a pretty mellow week. We will be news driven. We will be rate cut or rate leaving alone news driven. There's just not much happening this week. A couple articles. Real world EV range test show which models beat EPA estimates. I love this article. Plain and simple. Mercedes and BMW much closer to beating their ranges that they say that they can get. There are a couple that miss it horribly, but it's a very interesting article on how close all of these cars are to meeting their estimated and their quoted miles per charge. I disagree. I call bullcrap. I've seen these not work. And I got frustrated on who would write such a ridiculous article. And then I read a little bit farther and I highlighted it. Because driving the coal and running the heater can shorten the EV's range between 25 and 50%, we perform all of our range tests in summer temperatures between 70 and 90 when the weather is clear, which is most favorable for the EV range. Guess what? If you use the AC because it's cold, because it's hot outside, if you run your radio, in all honesty, my opinion, and I've seen it over and over again, Tesla, which has one of the better numbers and distances here, Tesla only gets up to maybe 166 to 180 miles. The Mercedes rarely gets up to 180 miles. Any Mercedes. The BMW, I don't know. Where's the other one though? Where's the Hyundai is one of the better ones. Oh, I don't see them on here, but there is another one that touts how far they go. And again, it goes that way if you don't use anything, if you don't need anything. It's unbelievable how people think it's a great car to go for distance trips. It's not. It's not what you'd want to use for a summer getaway. Okay, China. Over the weekend, extended an olive branch for rare earth metals, especially for the auto giants. First person to extend an olive branch is China. It's our job to reciprocate. Inflation fears receded May as Trump eased some tariffs threats. Obviously, as you go through, you can see that inflation is coming down. Why is the stock market holding up in the face of the uncertainty? It comes down to earnings. Earnings is what we're looking at, not to mention the taco trade. Trump always caves in, right? What's really happening in China? A very interesting and very supportive article on why, for lack of a better term, we can continue to be the bully in this situation. Again, reciprocal tariffs. We're just reciprocating what they've done to us. If it's okay for them to do it to us, it should be okay for us to do it to them. Because you're rich, ask anyone with money. Because you're rich, right? To just be expected to pay for things, it's annoying. It's frustrating. And I'm not in that category. But there comes some decency where if I'm with that kind of person, I'm always doing the best I can to pay my fair share. Okay, last but not least, Trump banned citizens of 12 countries from entering the U.S. There are also travel bans. These are those that they're coming from. I don't want to say it's not a big thing, and it's not fair for me to say that, because if families are split apart or people have families in both places. Militarily, I can see the reasons why. Not saying I agree with it, but here are those countries where travel is banned from. And then I found a very interesting article on the salary a single person needs to live comfortably in all 50 states. I just went to Utah. And again, if you want to talk about jaded, they're saying that people have to make $100,000 here to live comfortably with the 50, 30, 20, where 50% of your income goes to food and to housing, 30% goes to necessities and needs, 20% to savings and those type of things. I found it very interesting that I basically took the 99,466, divided by 12, that's 8,200. If you multiply that by 0.8, because you can have 20% for taxes, to say someone needs $6,631, that would be living high on the hog. I have 4 boys in the neighborhood, all going to college. Most single people are living in an apartment or with a roommate. Saying that you're going to get paid $6,631 after taxes each month to have to live comfortable. It's truly about half of that. A comfortable income in Utah runs somewhere between $54,000 to $60,000 a year if you are single, if you're living with a roommate or a couple roommates. I found it interesting how I felt this was a political piece because everything is very expensive. I also went up to Idaho. That's another one that I know. Idaho, 96,426. Between 48 and 54,000 is a pretty living good type of income in that area. So I just thought it was rather interesting to see what people thought. Am I breaking up? Other than Bill, anyone else have me breaking up? Is my video, I'm okay still? Bill, that might be on your side. I'm okay, all right. I've got 3 that say I'm okay. Was I breaking up earlier? Stuart, what do you have me? Was I breaking up earlier? Or did I sound okay? All right. So yeah, Bill, that seems to be more on your side. Dave, I'm okay. Mary, okay, thank you. So with that said, any questions for me? Any questions that I can try to answer for you? We're coming up into the doldrums. We're just going to be kind of sitting through things. A couple of you, again, I've been making some phone calls to. Probably the next couple weeks, I'm not going to have much to say. For those that are on my Tuesday phone calls, we're just kind of chugging along. We're just letting things continue to run. We are looking to take our lower spread meta puts and book those relatively quickly here. We have June 25th, Micron earnings. So we will look to at that point in time, we will look to be we will look to get protection on for Micron here relatively quickly. But we're just kind of following the market and sitting along, knowing that we're pretty close to overbought, and we're most likely going to look for some short calls to be added on to positions to give us a little downside protection. All right. Make sure you go to the handouts and download the Harry Markowitz PDF that I have for you. Any questions you guys have that I can answer for you? Yes, thank you, David. I forgot. Opportunities for those that are trading. Boeing to 250. I think that's a very good one. Google to 200. If I was looking to do trades, that's where I was sitting at. What bothers me? No energy, no oil. I wouldn't plan on seeing any of those moving in the near future. I would also say no China, right? I just don't see those as opportunities coming up here anytime quickly. So thank you for the reminder there. Opportunities, you're looking for a spread trade. You'll notice we did some 200, 250s. Google, a 175, 200 might be a pretty interesting short-term trade. Again, Mag 7 will most likely hold the majority of the S&P 500 gains again for 3 years in a row. That's probably where it's at. All right, guys. Hey, I don't see any other questions coming in. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you guys being here. Those of you that are in the East, I also appreciate you guys being able to make it. Rich, thank you very much for the text. It came while I was having a dinner with a new client. So absolutely wonderful timing. Couldn't have come at a better time. Yes, I'm trying to stall. All right, I don't see anything else coming in. Guys, have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.